All right, so pretty excited for this one, guys, because I have no idea what's going to be said in this video. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. So I think of all the knives I've made or the videos I've made of knives so far, this one's gonna be the most of a surprise to me, which is kind of exciting. Okay, so I have this knife, yeah, which is in itself a different knife than the others. Okay, by this brand, I don't know how to say it. I'm just gonna say Kansept. Yeah, like the word, like, oh, that's a really cool and clever concept. Okay, so I'm just gonna say it's an alternative spelling for the word concept. Over here, I don't know if you can see or not. Okay, but it's called the Apollo. Okay, and it says it's 3.11 inches long, designed by a guy named Warblades, and it says that it is a mirror DLC CPM S35VN black wash titanium purple haze fat carbon. Okay, and that's important, okay, because if these things are not true, then they are true, guys, but I don't know why I bought it, because I bought it for these reasons. Okay, so we have a box. This is definitely the nicest box of the 8 knives that I've mentioned earlier in earlier videos. Not gonna open this, guys. Okay, I've actually never looked in this. Well, I guess I must have, because the knife came out of this. Okay, this is also definitely the nicest. No, we're not gonna do that. Pouch. Okay, and some extra omega springs. Okay, because it runs on a crossbar. Yeah, so again, I'm not very particular with boxes. I don't really care about boxes or packaging, but this is the best one so far. Okay, so what about this knife? Yeah, what itches are we trying to scratch here, and what kind of ratings will it get? Yeah, so we have my score sheet. This is called the Kansept Apollo, $225. So of the 8 knives that were previously talked about in the combined video, this is the second most expensive, with good reason. We're gonna rate it, yeah, but let's talk a little bit about why it exists before we rate it. Okay, so the reason was that I was watching some Metal Complex shorts and some Metal Complex videos. That guy has zillions of knives, and as he goes through his things, there were 2 things that he had that I have not experienced, or I had not experienced, and one was this thing called DLC. Yeah, okay, so diamond like carbon. Okay, never experienced diamond like carbon. And he has this video where he takes out a key and he scratches the knife with the key, and there are these, like, because the key is like a brass color, yeah, you have these like gold colored scratches. Okay, and this is like hundreds of dollars knife, and I'm like, oh, what is he doing? That's crazy. Yeah, so this beautiful black knife now has scratches. Okay, and I'm like, whoa, that's not cool, man. Okay, and then he takes out a cloth and he wipes off the knife, and the knife is as good as new. Okay, so what happened is the diamond like carbon is like diamonds. Yeah, and diamonds are hard, and so apparently the key didn't actually scratch the knife. The hardness of the coating was actually taking off parts of the key, and so he was able to wipe it off because the knife wasn't damaged. It was just key residue. Okay, now, have I tried that? No, I have not. Okay, do I feel the need to prove to you guys that that's the case with this knife? No, I do not. Okay, so that's not gonna happen. Okay, but yeah, I am like 100% sure that this is what I think it is. Okay, the second thing was, okay, He had some crazy knives, okay, that had these like mirror blades, okay. And I can't remember all of them, but one of them was a company called Rockstead, I think, okay. Beautiful, beautiful blade. So I go online, I look it up, I'm like, oh, God, like I think at least $1,500, at least, yeah. So I'm like, yeah, not there yet, not gonna do that. But it did create intrigue, yeah. Like, oh, what is a DLC knife like? Oh, what is mirror like? Okay, they sure are pretty. Okay, so I was like, is it possible to explore those two things without completely breaking the bank? Okay, all right, so I go online and I start my search, okay, and this knife pops up, and this was really basically the most affordable thing that I believed was actually what I was looking for. Yeah, because when you see something that says it's mirror, or you see something that says it's DLC, and the price tag is too low, yeah, you kind of wonder, like, yeah, I think that's actually PVD, and I don't think that's actually a quality steel. Yeah. Anyway, so I knew I would have to pay a certain price, you know, cross a certain cost threshold. But I was trying to see how low can we go when we do that. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I was not familiar with the brand Kansept. Okay, but have had pretty good experiences, yeah, with Chinese Amazon brands, and from what other knife reviewers say, people say good things, yeah, about the factories, and about the industry, okay, the knife industry, okay. So when I got this Remet Wild Species knife, which is a Chinese brand, I was like, wow, that is incredible, okay, that is like truly, truly incredible. Yeah. What else? Yeah, so we get this CVV. Yeah, and if you look up CVVs, there's a lot of really, really popular recommended knives from CVV, also a Chinese brand. My understanding is they have a younger brother named Sencut, and they have an older brother named Wei. Yeah, and all Chinese, and everybody says Wei is really good. And if you look at the price tags, Wei knives are not cheap. Yeah. Okay, so if CVV makes something this good, I'm guessing a Wei is even better. Yeah, one day we'll probably review one. Okay, and then this knife was actually purchased after this knife, but I mean at this point it's in hand. Yeah, the Vosteed Porcupine. Okay, oh boy, probably should have done my homework. I don't even know if Vosteed is a Chinese knife, a Chinese company, a Chinese brand. That is sure not a Chinese sounding name. But neither is Remet. Yeah, Remet to me sounds French or something, but I think so. Let's just say it is. Okay, I think Vosteed, based on manufacturing quality, sounds weird to say that, yeah, coming out of China, but based on how good they are for their price, I think that's a better way to say it. I think they're Chinese brand too. Okay. And what other names did I run into in my search? Vosteed though, back to that. Okay, I know I'm not reviewing this one, but sounds like a Scandinavian name, yeah. At least that's what it sounds like, okay. But what else was there? There was this company called Miguron, and I've seen lots of reviews of knives made by them. Miguron, okay. And Kaiser, yeah. So those are just to name a few, okay. Yeah, let me go name them again. Okay, so I named Kaiser, Miguron, okay, and then we have Vosteed, if it is in fact Chinese, yeah, and then we have the Wei CVV line, Remet, and Kansept. Okay, so those are some of the big popular ones on Amazon, and you can kind of get a sense of how good they probably are just by the price. Yeah, you're probably gonna get what you pay for. The tolerances will probably be tighter the more up the scale you go. The materials will probably get better the more up the scale you go. The machining also probably going to be a little bit better the more up the scale you go. Okay. Perhaps the design, maybe not. Yeah, maybe the more you pay, the more creative the design goes. But I felt pretty confident buying a Kansept because of the price, but also because of that this knife turned out to be pretty good. Okay, so pretty long introduction. Okay, but yeah, that's why I rolled the dice on this one. Okay, so finally, I see this knife. You know, you guys know how it is. At some point, I probably had like 30 tabs open, yeah, with all kinds of different knives that I was considering. Okay, so we got all these windows open, but of the knives that were in this price range or cheaper, this one to me looked the nicest. It looked the best. It looked like the best combination of mirror, DLC, and attractive. Okay, and then there were knives that were more expensive. Okay, and some of them looked even better than this, but they were also more expensive. Okay, so to me, this was kind of where price and quality and looks all intersected. All right. So plus. At this point, yeah, we gotta try out a crossbar lock. Yeah, even though I tried them out in stores before, gotta have one. Yeah. So lots of boxes checked, lots of itches to scratch. Okay. Here, yeah, I don't like drag this. I don't want to drag this introduction out too long. So I'll jump into the ratings, and anything I wanted to say in the intro will probably get filtered in these sections. Okay, so sound. Let's go to the sound that this knife makes. Now remember, okay, this knife has DLC coating on the blade, and it's a crossbar type lock. Okay, so this knife I can flick better with my middle finger than I can with my thumb. Yeah, I can do just fine both ways. Okay, but I can more consistently get a bit better result with my middle finger. Okay, so on these thumb studs. Yeah, you know, not a horrendous sound, but it's just a 4. Okay. To blame, probably more than anything, the locking system. Okay. And then second, probably the DLC coating. Okay. Do you want an explanation? Sure, let me give you an explanation. Everything sounds slow and heavy. Yeah, there you go. That's the explanation. Okay, the deployment. Okay, did it a bunch of times already. Okay, so this would be, well, this doesn't count. Yeah, the slow guided ones I don't really count as deployment. Yeah, because people that want fidgety knives, that's not what they're there for. Okay, so the deployment would be this and this. Okay. This is the same thing as the sound guide. It's slow and it's heavy. Okay, so you're fighting the spring of the crossbar as it's going out. Okay, yeah, that's what's going on. Okay, so the deployment is a 5. Okay, so sound kind of junk. Deployment not that junk, but still not good. Okay, and then the lock release. Okay, guys, in terms of quality of build and how well put together and the materials they used, I have no complaints. Okay, it is what I thought it would be, and it is what I am very glad it is. Okay, so when I give these low numbers, because it's gonna be low, okay, it's not that they did a bad job or skimped, okay, or used bad materials. Okay, I just have certain tastes, yeah, and opinions. Okay, so the release. Okay, and I know that there are people who like this. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go 2. I'm going to go with 2. Right? Why? right? Well, I don't like crossbars, okay? I don't like how the flick is like this, and then I gotta do all this work to reposition my hand, to clear my fingers out of the way, to go over here, and then do this, yeah? Okay, hey you guys, one day, you know, I'm gonna make a video about what people say is hand safe and finger friendly. I just think it's a load of BS. Yeah? People are like, oh, if the lock is away from the path of the blade, therefore that means that it is hand safe and finger friendly. What? Okay? I could totally leave my fingers here, and even though the lock is over here, I could totally get this blade to drop on my fingers. Let's not do that. Okay, anyway, let's get back to the point. So the lock, I don't like the repositioning I have to do. I don't like that I can't completely control where it breaks. If you guys know me, drop shot gets penalized with me, okay? There's still that Boy Scout in me, that Eagle Scout, that views this as a serious tool, yeah? And that wants to take safety precautions, okay? And then, yeah, I mentioned this in another video, but the fact that I don't need to do a pinch and grab it on both sides, the fact that I can just do it with my pointer, the fact that I can just do it with my thumb on this side without using my pointer, yeah, okay? And I don't think, well, not that I don't think, guys, I know that is not an indication. The fact that you can do it from one side or the other side, okay, that is not an indication of sloppiness, yeah, or bad execution. In fact, some people say that it's representative of them doing a good job, okay? I don't like that. Oh, I already wrote it. Okay, closure. The final hand guide, yeah, for me, that's what it is. Usually after the 90 degree point, if I don't want to just slam it in, yeah, and if I want to actually guide it in with my pointer or my thumb, okay, how satisfying is that for me? Okay, it's a 5, which is actually kind of high, all things considered, okay, and it is kind of high because the spring again, yeah. So like this thing almost couldn't care less about what kind of washers or bearings or frictions going on, okay? Because really the thing that's holding this back until the final point is the spring, okay? Okay, oh yeah, one more thing before I forget, guys. I do not like this, okay? You see how I can hold the knife like this and just go whack, okay? Oh, yeah. Okay, that is not me using my fingers or the thumb stud at all. That is just me holding this and going like that, right? I cannot do this with any of the other knives, okay? Yeah. Okay, my 4-2 cry 3-step system. 1, 2, hard to get 2 as good as I want. 2, 3. When I combine those 3 things, yeah, 1, 2, 3, okay, I end up with a 5, okay? All right, guys, but I gotta correct something, okay? Because these numbers, I'm not making them up right now. I'm just re-experiencing them right now, and I messed up on closure, okay? Closure is actually supposed to be a 4, okay? Okay, but yeah, so anyway, that's what I feel like in the 3-step system. Okay, let me double check my numbers. Make sure we're on track. 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay, fill. Fill is here. Okay. Fill is when I'm actually using and slicing the knife. What does it feel like in my hand? Okay. The pocket clip is great. It creates, in terms of fill, it creates no hot spots for me. Okay. This thing suits my thumb pretty well. This thing also suits my thumb pretty well. It's comfortable in my hand. But it's very blocky, very rectangular, okay? Additionally, it's short, okay? It is the only knife where my pinky kind of hangs off of it. I can fit it, okay? But for the most part, it's gonna hang off, okay? It's gonna be like this. And it's not the end of the world. I still find that comfortable, okay? but it's going to detract somewhat from the points. So the fill is 6. Okay, hey, that's our best one yet. Yeah, so the fill is good. And so you guys at this point might be thinking, oh, what is this guy smoking? Okay, he paid $225 for a knife that is a 4, 5, 2, 5, and 6. Only one of them is good. Every other number is sub good. And you are right. Okay, but that is not what this knife was bought for. Yeah, I already told you guys why I bought this knife. Yeah, this knife was bought for some other things, and we're crossing over to that point now. Okay, so maybe I should bring this up to you guys and talk to you a little bit about it at this point that we're going into looks. Okay, so with this blade open, what we have here is we have this, I like this logo. Okay, this is one of the better logos. Okay, Kansept logo. On the other side, we have like this seal looking thing. And guys, well done. It's nice. Great job. Okay, and then over here, let me check. It says Apollo. Okay, so I like when you can actually know what the knife's name is. That's great too. And then let me check. Yeah, over here we have the metal type. Okay, I don't know if you're catching this or not. Yeah, but S35 VN. Let me double check. Oh yeah, S35 VN. Okay, so we have all those things going on. We have a diamond-like carbon blade. Okay, it's not the most mirror in the world, but I would say yes, it is. It would classify and categorize as mirror. Okay, and then what are the scales and the clip? They're good. Okay, I like it. Okay, it's this black titanium with the edges are kind of like worn. I like it. And then we have what they call fat carbon. Okay, this purple, pink, black carbon fiber inlay. Yeah. Okay, so all of that said, let me show you it closed. Okay, so closed looks like this. Okay, and I do not know if this is overexposing. Okay, in another video, the purple and pink looked like super light purple and pink. In reality, it looks like what it looks like in the Amazon listing. It is pretty dark purple and pink. Okay, very nice. So looks, check this out, guys. 9. Okay, darn good looking knife. Okay, beyond almost perfect. Okay, it's like almost perfect. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the pocket clip. Okay, I'll just write it and then tell you guys why. The pocket clip is a 3. Yeah, but you know, whatever. Okay, if I told you the other knives are a 4, a 3, a 4, a 2, a 3, a 3, a 5. Okay, and only one knife is a 10. So I'm notoriously critical of pocket clips. Okay, this is a pants or a pocket tearer. Okay, it will over time destroy your pocket. Okay, and this thing is more there to match the knife and for decoration. Okay, function, yes. Pleasant to use, no. Okay, I think that's enough to say about that. Fizz. Okay, this is my second fizziest knife. Okay, I had a whole bunch of knives, if you watched my previous ones, that scored a 7. Okay, in fact, I literally had 4 knives in a row that gave me level 7 levels of fizz. Okay, here, let me show you real quick. Okay, we're in no rush. Yeah, guys, we will take as long as we want. Okay, so the Spyderco Stage 1 gave me a level 7 level of fizz. Okay, the M. Custa Suchi 114 MC114D. This thing also was a 7 in fizz. Okay, what else? The Remet Wild Species, the titanium frame lock that I mentioned earlier. This was level 7 fizz. And my custom Spyderco Para 3. Okay, all of these guys, yeah, 4 knives in a row, 7, 7, 7, 7 in this category of fizz. Okay, so this knife beats them in that, and it should at $225. it should. Okay, and it does. Okay, why? Because of the semi-mirror DLC. Okay, combined with the fact that it's good looking and it has a nice weight. Okay, yeah, those Chinese factories, man, they do a good job. Yeah, I will say, yeah, this one has less personality than this one. This one is a lot more artistic than this one, and they are both marvels of machining. Okay, but this one's kind of personality-less and kind of bland and sterile. This guy, yeah. Okay, that's why it gives me level 8 fizz. And then joy. Okay, so joy, this guy does good in joy too. So it's an 8. Okay. I've never circled numbers before. Okay, but if you look down here, 988. Okay. These are the strengths of this knife. And they really are what the knife was acquired for, right? Oh yeah, so the paper cut test, I'm never going to show you guys a paper cut test, but you can take my word for it. I've cut paper with all the knives. Okay, I'm not too worried about that test. This one, the worst for sure. Okay, but that's not what I got this knife for. And it's because of the coating. Okay, so the coating makes the blade fat, and then as soon as it hits that, it just kind of wedges. It is not a good paper cutter, that's for sure. Okay. Okay, what is my overall perception of the Kansept Apollo? My overall impression, okay, is that it is a 7, which is good enough. Okay, which is good enough, because it's good in certain areas that make it desirable. Yeah. So it's better than good. It's not quite almost perfect. That is my overall perception. What would be the main thing that dragged it to that level? Really, the only thing that could have dragged it to that level, it would be what the locking system has done to a lot of the aspects of the knife. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you guys know that by now. Okay, and then if you mathematically use the formula I use, yeah, to put all these numbers together, the overall score is a 5.8. 5.8. Okay, so based on rating numbers, this knife is not good. It's a little bit junkier than good. Okay, but based on just how I feel about it, not looking at other things, it is a 7. So it definitely belongs. Yeah. You guys can go off this number if you want. I have a tendency to go off of this number. If it's below a 6, I probably will never really carry it. I probably will not really want to keep it. I'll probably try to get rid of it. Okay. If it's a 6 or above, guys, it's a keeper. Okay. There's a reason for it to stick around at that point. Yeah. Okay. So what else to say about this knife in summary, now that we have all of those numbers out of the way? Okay, so this is gonna sound funny, yeah, but what is a feature that I really like about this? Well, I feel like I got a bargain. Okay, I feel like this is a cheap DLC mirror. Yeah. Okay, and I know $225 is not cheap, but all things considered, okay, in the land of what these things are in that category, okay, seemed like a bargain. Okay, I like that I predicted what it would be just off of the online listing, and that when it came in, it was as high quality as I thought it would be. Yeah. Okay. So based on the price, based on previous exposure and experience with these Amazon Chinese names, I had a certain expectation of what this probably would be, having bought it sight unseen. Yeah. Having never actually seen it or handled it in person. Okay. And when it came in, it did not just meet what I thought it would be, it surpassed it. And so that definitely was a feature that was a big positive. Negative, takes away joy. Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I talk about joy here, and then I do these two numbers, yeah, and then I talk about joy again, yeah, in the summary. I tend to talk about it again, okay? Yeah, it's really just a lock, okay? But I'm glad I have one, yeah. I'm not the kind of guy who really likes this. I thought I would, you know. Before I got into these knives, I thought I would like knives that had a high fidget factor, okay? But ultimately, knives are knives. Knives are tools. Knives are sharp. Knives can knives can injure. Yeah, they can even kill. Okay, so pretty quickly, I discovered my personal preference. Yeah, but anyway, if you are interested in this knife, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Yeah, and I know there's a few people out there who have it, and I would guess that the people who do have it, it's probably something that they're proud of having. Yeah, and so that is the Kansept Apollo.